So we're here today to talk about the next work environment. And this is in connection with Work Design Magazine's The Next Work Environment competition. There's a lot of change and uncertainty, and we've expanded our conversations to include experts in a variety of disciplines to share their expertise and their insights, as we continue to look for more innovative solutions. This design competition seeks to expand our thinking on issues related to our work environment because of COVID-19, to offer innovative ideas to enable us to design spaces that inspire, energize, and rejuvenate us. We see this as an opportunity to come together as a profession and to think beyond, traditional design solutions and to create work environments that focus more on people, their organizations, and the businesses that support them. Today, I'm really excited to be here with Hans Lee. Hans is the managing director with Heinz in its Office of Innovation, where he's leading strategic new economy initiatives within Heinz global portfolio, including the launch of its flexible workplace platform. Hans brings nearly 20 years of experience in acquiring, developing, and managing Class A office buildings, office campuses, and office-anchored mixed-use projects. Hans earned his MBA from the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania after serving as a military officer in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and earning a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Stanford University. Hans, it's great to have you here. I'm looking forward to this conversation with you. Why don't you start out and tell us a little bit about your background and the kind of work that you're doing?
Thanks, Bob. I'm delighted to be here. I've been at Heinz for the last 14 years, and as you mentioned, in the last 2 years in its Office of Innovation, where we are evaluating new economy businesses that can do one of three things: increase the value of our portfolio, enhance the end user experience, or empower our employees. One of the main areas I'm particularly focused on is our Workspace as a Service program, and I think that's very relevant to this competition that we're talking about.
Hans, that's great. Sounds very exciting. Now, let me ask you, we've all, I think, kind of struggled through this COVID-19 crisis. How has it affected you and your business?
Well, I think we can all acknowledge the profound impact COVID-19 has had, not only on the real estate industry, but on every business. And as individuals, the blurred boundary between work and home that existed pre-COVID is kind of gone as we shelter in space. On the other hand, for those of us that are not essential workers, it's been a luxury, a convenience to be able to readily support my children in their distance learning, as well as take care of household duties, especially for my situation, because my wife is a doctor and she's been going to work and continues to go into the office. For office building owners, including Heinz, there are a lot of resources and energy being devoted towards property management and building engineering. And this emphasis is well placed. It makes sense, right? Especially in the near term, as employees they want to be assured that their buildings and workspaces are safe and healthy. So, in addition to the enhanced cleaning and HVAC adjustments, signage regarding distancing and circulation, hand sanitizer and disinfection stations, I think, for us, the other key is frequent and transparent communication from building management. We think that's really critical. We want our tenant customers to know that we're a trusted resource and have their best interests, including health and safety in mind.
As you go through this, are there positive things that you see that come out of this that you'll carry forward?
Well, Bob, notwithstanding the human toll and the economic devastation, I do think that a heightened emphasis on health and wellness in the workplace is a very good thing. We've heard over and over again the substantial productivity loss attributed to employee sick days. And if the workplace can improve one's health, that benefits all levels, the individual, the company, and our economy. We're heavily involved with the International Well Building Institute, as well as the Well Living Lab. If you're not familiar with the Well Living Lab, it's a partnership between the Mayo Clinic and Delos, the predecessor organization to the IWBI. And this lab is dedicated to studying the impact of the indoor workplace environment on human health. Just last month, we kicked off a study focused on contagion transmission through ventilation and material surfaces. And as for the IWBI, we've registered over 20 million square feet of our portfolio and are well in the process of certifying our first flexible workspace under their Well Interiors program.
Wow, that sounds great. As we're in this phase now where people are starting to come back to work, what are the issues that you see and how are you dealing with those?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest issue is balancing this desire to ramp up business again to pre-COVID production levels versus health and safety risks of a full return to office. We all miss the office and understand now more than ever the value of the workplace that it brings in terms of teaming and collaboration and culture. And I'm encouraged to hear from our large occupiers how disciplined they're being with the return to office, which includes a phased approach to occupancy so that proper distancing and density can be managed. Our property managers and building engineers are standing by, prepared to support our tenant customers in any way we can. So as we like to say, we're ready when you're ready.
Okay, great. As we look at this and you sort of step back, big picture, what's your biggest hope or concern, coming out of this crisis?
Yeah, well, my immediate concern is there's already signs of a second wave. Understandably, people are ready to re-engage their communities, especially the small businesses that are the lifeblood of our local and national economy. My hope is that we all do our part to make sure we're opening up businesses in a responsible and safe way. But we can't just go back to the way things were. It's probably another 10 to 12 months before a vaccine is available. So in the meantime, we just all have to do our part, and we're certainly ready to do our part as building owners and managers.
And how about, what will you or what will Hines do, as you return to a more hopefully normal work pattern?
Yeah, we've all seen the somewhat surprising effectiveness of working from home. And I think we'll see much more comfort and trust in the ability for teams to collaborate from remote locations, while also respecting that work from home can be a really productive environment for certain types of work and certain types of roles. But, like we're doing now, we've also realized the importance of supplementing conference calling with video, and even the most casual conversations are more effective by being able to make visual contact like the way we're doing now. But now, we're not going to take for granted the time we have together in the office. I think when we get back to the office, we're going to realize we have to take advantage of being together by having high impact meetings and interactions and really using that time to reinforce culture.
Yeah, that's we're all going to go through some kind of change like that. I'm curious, how are you dealing with, elevators and the amenity space within your buildings?
Yeah, there's, first of all, there's not a one size fits all solution to these buildings. We have a lot of buildings all around the world. And as you know, different places around the world are at different stages in relation to removing shelter in place and coming back to work. So the first thing you have to acknowledge is that there has to be somewhat of a tailored solution based on the local environment. But specifically you asked about lobbies and elevators. We don't know where the people are coming from, right? And there's particular focus on people in dense urban areas coming off mass transit, because there's a lot of concern about mass transit. So we've got to do our part right at the front door. So in most cases, we're implementing a screening, and that screening could be more of something that could be done before you leave your home in terms of, doing a temperature check, or depending again on the situation, we could have a more active temperature check as you check into the building. Elevatoring, we are regulating traffic in terms of the number of people going into the elevators. So there's going to be some queuing involved. We're working with occupants to talk about sort of stage timing for when the workday starts, so we're not creating long lines. But it has to be really thoughtful about going from that front door into the tenant's front door. And then certain tenants, they may have additional procedures as they get into their own space. So it is a methodical process that needs to be thought through carefully.
And how about things like conference rooms, fitness areas? And I also know you guys have a lot of co-working space or flex workspace within your buildings. Any special considerations for those types of spaces?
Sure. For conferencing, we're making sure we've got the right level of seating, not too many seats, so that's overly populated. And then common areas, including our flexible workspace. First of all, I think it's important to note that a lot of flexible workspace does have private office suites. And in fact, our model is geared towards private office suites, not open co-working, unassigned seating. And that's really important right now. Unassigned seating, unfortunately, is going to have to take a back seat for the time being. But so private office suites, still there'll be rigorous cleaning, of course, and a lot of control as to who's coming in and out. There'll be a little more heightened screening as to visitors. And we're going to ask all our occupants, of course, whether they're in our flexible workspace or on direct leases in our buildings, to be really vigilant about visitors coming into the workspace and making sure that they're got an appointment, and of course going through the proper screening channels. Other areas like fitness centers, the regular cleaning midday is going to be super important. There's certainly an element where each individual has to take ownership. Obviously, things like wiping down equipment. In conference rooms, the key for us is as soon as the meeting is over, let's get in there and clean it up, and then communicate that the room has been cleaned and then not occupied since the cleaning.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of behaviors and things like that we're going to have to adapt to. Hans, as people are preparing their submissions for this competition, how would you recommend that they think about these? How should they frame the problem, as they're working on their solutions?
Well, first of all, I want to wish all the participants the best of luck. I'm really looking forward to reviewing the submissions. I would say think about COVID as a catalyst for change as opposed to a cause. And what I mean by that is there'll be certain measures we take in direct response to COVID, like we've been talking about. But I'd encourage the participants to focus on those that are long-term improvements in the workplace that, sure, address COVID now, but have a broader impact to elevating the office environment for the long term. And in addition, I'd say, in terms of framing the response, remember to consider both the space provider and the occupier's perspective when demonstrating the value proposition. Lasting solutions are only going to work if they're win-win propositions for all the stakeholders involved.
Hans, this has been great. I've enjoyed this conversation with you. Lots of good ideas and insights. I'm really excited to have you participating in this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. I look forward to it.